Hey everybody, this is Sainted. I wanted to show you what this gentleman from Lockheed Martin, and I want you to Google Lockheed Martin and what they're looking at and what they're into, and who Colonel Karl Nell is. And I want you to write down the incidents that he's gonna describe to you and he's gonna talk to you about. He's gonna give times, he's gonna give dates, he's gonna give places, he's gonna talk about things. Write it down and go verify it for yourself, because I know for a fact that everything that this man just said is totally 100% true. This is crazy. Be prepared. Holy shit.
Said and Ross alluded, progress on this topic would not be possible without the support and grassroots efforts of the folks that are participating in this chat and the folks that are in your guys' orbit. And so what actually is this topic, right? And Ross and Lou also have alluded to this. Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity on this planet. This interaction is ongoing and it's not new. And there is zero doubt. But you already knew that. So how do we go about convincing other people that this is the case? Particularly people that aren't necessarily privy to all the information that some of us may otherwise be. And so there's three principal lines of effort, three principal sources of data. There's essentially the first principles argument, which basically says, counter to common belief, that life is common in the universe. How do we know life should be common in the universe? There's 20 billion sun-like stars in the universe. The sun is a population 1 star. There are planets like this, there's stars like the sun that are 5 billion years older than the sun. That's plenty of time for other civilizations to evolve on these other planets. There is recent scholarship that says that life evolved on Earth in the Hadean era. The Hadean era was before the crust even cooled. There's recent scholarship that says that microbes have been found in terrestrial rock that have dated to 2 billion years ago, essentially in stasis. So life evolved here very quickly. There are many, many planets like the sun, and there are many, many planets that are much older than the sun. People that would argue that life is uncommon have to justify that proposition more than anyone would have to justify the fact that life evolves very quickly. The second point is faster than light travel. Everybody says faster than light travel is not possible. This is false. Miguel Alcubierre, a postgraduate student at the University of Mexico in 1994, solved Einstein's equations for an effective faster than light mechanism. NASA has investigated this. Everyone accepts his solution as valid. His solution requires negative energy. In 1960, quantum physics demonstrated or predicted the reality of negative energy. In the 90s, the Casimir effect was demonstrated in the laboratory. The Casimir effect demonstrates negative energy. The expansion of the universe, which is caused by dark energy, is negative energy. So we have a solution to Einstein's equations that allow effective faster than light travel. We've got the existence of negative energy proven. This isn't an engineering solution. This isn't a means where we can go and do this, but theoretically it's possible. And this is not argued by modern scholarship. So from a first principles, life is more than likely common, and we know that Einstein's equations support effective faster than light travel. That's the first principles argument. The second is the testimonial. Perhaps there are people out there that may know more than some of us might know, including people that have been in the intelligence community, such as myself. So we can look at several presidents, Barack Obama, President Trump. They both said UAP are real. We can look at, as was mentioned earlier, Chris Mellon, Dave Grush, Lou Elizondo have said non-human intelligence is real. We can look at Lord of the Fleet, Lord Hill Norton, a chief of the defense staff in the United Kingdom in past years, have said UFOs are real. We can look at the first Earl Mountbatten of Burma in the United Kingdom again, that have said UFOs are real. We can look at the chief of the Canadian Defense Ministry, Paul Hellyer, who have said non-human intelligence is real. We can look at Haim Eshed, who is the Israelis' father of their space program, who has said non-human intelligence is real. All these people and more would be in a position to know. Then we can look at the evidence, the data. You've seen the videos, the Fluor video, the gimbal, the go fast. A lot of people probably don't know Gordon Cooper, one of America's 7 Mercury astronauts, chased UFOs over West Germany in 1951. He testified to that fact before the United Nations in 1978, analogous to the David Fravor Tic Tac incident. We can look at the UFO incursions over the Northern Tier ballistic missile early warning sites in the 70s and the document supported and testimony supported readiness status change of our ICBMs in the 60s at Malmstrom Air Force Base, where many missiles were taken offline by a UFO. The analogous thing happened in the Soviet Union contemporaneously. In their case, the missiles were brought online. There's an agreement between the United States and, at the time, the Soviet Union, intending to reduce the threat of nuclear war, that talks about each party notifying the other if UFOs are impinging on their warfighting systems, because this was recognized as a fact. There's documentary evidence, the Twining memo from 1947. General Nathan Twining, future Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, wrote a memorandum that said the UFOs are most likely extraterrestrial. There's official Australian documents declassified on the National Archives of Australia from 1971 from their defense attaché that made a formal assessment of the United States' interest in UFOs, the reality of that, and the fact that the US was investigating anti-gravity programs in concert with looking into UFOs, a conclusion that would make no sense unless the reality of this topic was demonstrated. So some people say, well, if this is real, why don't they fly over the White House or something? Well, in 1952, UFOs flew over Washington, D.C. over 2 weekends. There were radar visual sightings, there were air-to-air intercepts, and it created the largest press conference since World War II up to that time. People say, well, why don't they just land during the middle of the day? Well, that happened in 1994 at the Ariel School in Rura, Zimbabwe, where UFOs presented themselves with beings and occupants on the ground, witnessed by numerous children. The exact same incident happened in 1966 in Westall, Australia. The people that witnessed those events are still alive, and they continue to state the assertion of that being a factual occurrence. So these things taken together, along with much other evidence, suggest that this is absolutely true. And I'm speaking to you today to tell you that there is zero doubt this is absolutely true. I know this personally. So the way to solve this problem is to motivate the grassroots. Political activism is the solution to restoring proper oversight, developing a process for responsible disclosure, and advancing society through the efforts of that process. So I salute you for your participation in this event. Again, I thank New Paradigm Institute. I'm humbled to be able to address you and participate with you in this historic occasion, and I wish you the best. God bless.